Greetings and God bless you. We're continuing our discussion about the sacraments. We have started in the back of the church with the sacraments that are required in order to come into the church: to be baptized, chrismated or confirmed, and to receive the Eucharist. These are the, if you will, the mandatory or required three in order to be in the life of the church. Then we moved up a little further into the pews, and we reviewed a couple of sacraments that are for maintenance. One for the spirit and the soul, which is confession, in order to cleanse and remove what's inside. And the other for good health, and that would be holy unction, the application of holy oil. All of these sacraments come from tradition and scripture. You can find the antecedent in chapters and verses in the scripture, for instance, with holy unction, James chapter 5, with holy confession. Before the Lord ascended into heaven, he said to the apostles, which sins you keep are kept, and which sins are remitted, and so forth and so on. Now we have the last two in the category of sacraments that I'm going to go over. These are the voluntary ones, the things that are not required. So, necessary requirements: baptism, chrismation, Eucharist. Maintenance would be confession and holy unction. And then, marriage. Not everybody gets married, but if you do get married, you get married in the church under the eye of God and before the witnesses of the faithful. And the couple stand before the holy altar, and they're facing the altar, they're facing in the same direction. And that's kind of a definition of marriage. Two people who are sharing a vision, who are committing their life in the same movement forward. They're not in opposition to each other. One is not looking this way and one is looking this way. They're not looking at each other. They're looking toward the Lord. And each of them is committing themselves to the Lord to offer themselves completely for the other person. It's a vow that they make to God, a promise. And it's symbolized by these crowns. Each of the couple, the man and the woman, wear a crown, and it's united by this cord. And the crowns go back in time to the ancient Roman times, and they were crowns of victory, but the Christians interpreted them as crowns of martyrdom. The Romans used to put crowns on the martyrs just to mock them and say, here's your victory. Well, the Christians adopted that, and they used it as a symbol of a pledge that each would give to the other. So if a person puts a crown on, it means that they're giving their life for the other person. The couple then stand crowned in front of the altar, pledging their life for each other and willingness to die for the other person. It's a mutual sacrifice for the other. They also have as their purpose to fulfill the great commandment of the Lord of God from the beginning, which was to be fruitful and multiply. So they come together to be fruitful and multiply, to seek their salvation, to have companionship, to find the joy and bliss of life together, and to share in a direction where each may attain the kingdom of heaven. And it's very important to be married in the church because you're dedicating all of your life and all of your purpose to God and to one another. So that's one of the voluntary sacraments. Another one is ordination. And that's very close to marriage in a way, because it means that somebody is marrying themselves to the life of the church in its formal capacity. So when a couple gets married, the priest leads them with the gospel. They're led by Christ, not by each other, around this table. It's called a dance of Isaiah, and it's their first steps together as a couple. It's a way of saying that they will be led by the gospel, by Christ. They will be walking together in the circles of life. When a person gets ordained, that person also takes a walk around the table, but it's the altar table. Here. The bishop is placed here. He's seated. He puts his hands over the person getting ordained, the candidate to be ordained. And this is ordination, the laying on of hands, which went from Christ to the apostles to the first bishops and on down through the line in apostolic succession for the last 2,000 years. Then the person kisses each corner of the altar table, and this is done 3 times, and he's vested to serve. These are voluntary sacraments, but there are other sacraments. But they're not in the formal sense. There's tonsuring to become an altar boy. There is the great dedication to becoming a monk, and many, many, many other services that are sacramental, that are the mysteries of the church. But I wanted to give you these basic 7. The 3 that are required, baptism, chrismation or confirmation, and the Eucharist. The 2 that are maintenance or for good health, confession for the soul, holy unction for the body, and then these that are voluntary. All of our lives, marriage and ordination, every part of our life is a sacrament and an offering ourselves to God for the mystery and joy of coming into the life and the kingdom of heaven. May God bless us and keep us his always.